What causes phobia and 3 effective self-help tips to overcome them. Almost everyone has an irrational fear or two, of spiders, for example, or your annual dental checkup. For most people, these fears are minor. But when fears become so severe that they cause tremendous anxiety and interfere with your normal life, they're called phobias. A phobia is an intense fear of something that, in reality, poses little or no actual danger. Common phobias and fears include closed-in places, heights, highway driving, flying insects, snakes, and needles. However, you can develop phobias of virtually anything. While most phobias develop in childhood, they can also develop in later life. If you have a phobia, you probably realize that your fear is irrational, yet you still can't control your feelings. Just thinking about the feared object or situation may make you anxious. And when you're actually exposed to the thing you fear, the terror is automatic and overwhelming. The experience is so nerve-wracking that you may go to great lengths to avoid it, inconveniencing yourself or even changing your lifestyle. If you have claustrophobia, for example, you might turn down a lucrative job offer if you have to ride the elevator to get to the office. If you have a fear of heights, you might drive an extra 20 miles in order to avoid a tall bridge. Understanding your phobia is the first step to overcoming it. It's important to know that phobias are common. Having a phobia doesn't mean you're crazy. It also helps to know that phobias are highly treatable. No matter how out of control it feels right now, you can overcome your anxiety and fear and start living the life you want. So when to seek help for phobias and fears? Although phobias are common, they don't always cause considerable distress or significantly disrupt your life. For example, if you have a snake phobia, it may cause no problems in your everyday activities if you live in a city where you're not likely to run into one. On the other hand, if you have a severe phobia of crowded spaces, living in a big city would pose a problem. If your phobia doesn't impact your life that much, it's probably nothing to be concerned about. But if avoidance of the object, activity, or situation that triggers your phobia interferes with your normal functioning, or keeps you from doing things you would otherwise enjoy, it's time to seek help. Consider treatment for your phobia if 1. It causes intense and disabling fear, anxiety, and panic. 2. You recognize that your fear is excessive and unreasonable. 3. You avoid certain situations and places because of your phobia. 4. Your avoidance interferes with your normal routine or causes significant distress. 5. You've had the phobia for at least 6 months. However, self-help strategies and therapy can both be effective at treating a phobia. What's best for you depends on factors such as the severity of your phobia, your access to professional therapy, and the amount of support you need. As a general rule, self-help is always worth a try. The more you can do for yourself, the more in control you'll feel, which goes a long way when it comes to phobias and fears. However, if your phobia is so severe that it triggers panic attacks or uncontrollable anxiety, you may want to seek additional support. Therapy for phobias has a great track record. Not only does it work extremely well, but you tend to see results very quickly, sometimes in as little as 1 to 4 sessions. However, support doesn't have to come in the guise of a professional therapist. Just having someone to hold your hand or stand by your side as you face your fears can be extremely helpful. So, here are 2 tips on how to overcome your phobia by self-help. 1. Face your fears, one step at a time. It's only natural to want to avoid the thing or situation you fear. But when it comes to conquering phobias, facing your fears is the key. While avoidance may make you feel better in the short term, it prevents you from learning that your phobia may not be as frightening or overwhelming as you think. You never get the chance to learn how to cope with your fears and experience control over the situation. As a result, the phobia becomes increasingly scarier and more daunting in your mind. The most effective way to overcome a phobia is by gradually and repeatedly exposing yourself to what you fear in a safe and controlled way. During this exposure process, you'll learn to ride out the anxiety and fear until it inevitably passes. Through repeated experiences facing your fear, you'll begin to realize that the worst isn't going to happen, you're not going to die or lose it. With each exposure, you'll feel more confident and in control. The phobia begins to lose its power. It's important to begin with a situation that you can handle, and work your way up from there, building your confidence and coping skills as you move up the fear ladder. 2. Learn to calm down quickly. When you're afraid or anxious, you experience a variety of uncomfortable physical symptoms, such as a racing heart and a suffocating feeling. These physical sensations can be frightening themselves, and a large part of what makes your phobia so distressing. However, by learning how to calm yourself down quickly, you can become more confident in your ability to tolerate uncomfortable sensations and face your fears. Perform a simple deep breathing exercise. When you're anxious, you tend to take a quick, shallow breath known as hyperventilating, which actually adds to the physical feelings of anxiety. By breathing deeply from the abdomen, you can reverse these physical sensations and feel less tense, less short of breath, and less anxious. Practice these breathing exercises when you're feeling calm until you're familiar and comfortable with the exercise. Sit or stand comfortably with your back straight. Put one hand on your chest and the other on your stomach. Take a slow breath in through your nose, counting to 4. The hand on your stomach should rise. The hand on your chest should move very little. Hold your breath for a count of 7. Exhale through your mouth to a count of 8, pushing out as much air as you can while contracting your abdominal muscles. The hand on your stomach should move in as you exhale, but your other hand should move very little. Inhale again, repeating the cycle until you feel relaxed and centered. Practice this deep breathing technique for 5 minutes twice a day. When you're comfortable with the technique, you can use it when you're facing your phobia or in another stressful situation. 3. Challenge negative thoughts about your phobia. When you have a phobia, you tend to overestimate how bad it will be if you're exposed to the situation you fear and underestimate your ability to cope. The anxious thoughts that trigger and fuel phobias are usually negative and unrealistic. By writing down the negative thoughts you have when confronted by your phobia, you can begin to challenge these unhelpful ways of thinking. Many times, these thoughts fall into the following categories. 1. Fortune telling. For example, this bridge is going to collapse. I'll make a fool of myself for sure. I will definitely lose it when the elevator doors close. 2. Overgeneralization. For example, I fainted once while getting a shot. I'll never be able to get a shot again without passing out. That pit bull lunged at me. All dogs are dangerous. 3. Catastrophizing. For example, the captain said we're going through turbulence. The plane is going to crash. The person next to me coughed. Maybe it's swine flu. I'm going to get very sick. Once you've identified your negative thoughts, evaluate them. It's also helpful to come up with some positive coping statements that you can tell yourself when facing your phobia. And if your phobia still persists after several self-help sessions, it would be better to seek for professional treatment to overcome your irrational fear. Hope these tips can help you overcome your phobias. Thank you.